After 3 rounds of the Pro Pulling League season, Steve Bunnage leads the E3 Sparkplug Super Modified Tractor class. But the story of the year so far has been the upstarts. Wayne Sullivan and the Kentuckian and Ron Bargy Jr. and the Judge Next Generation hold the 2nd and 3rd spot in the points, while Greg Boyd and the brand new Green Streak Unlimited broke through to claim his first class win at the last round. Meanwhile, the former class champs have been shut out of victory lane and sit 4th, 6th, and 9th in the points. Can the early season surprises continue their hot streak? Or can the former class champs regain their winning form? Find out next. Truck and tractor pulling. The ultimate test of power. Professional pullers compete using custom-built vehicles with thousands of horsepower to see who can pull a multi-ton weighted sled the farthest. The sled is adjusted for each class to make the competition a fair test of power and driver skill. There's no practice in pulling. Every decision a team makes before each pull is critical to competing for a class championship. In a season full of highs and lows, teams dedicate hundreds of hours to maintenance, travel, and repair. This is Professional Pulling with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. It's time to kick off another tractor pull here with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. Welcome to the E3 Spark Plugs Pro Pulling Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. We're at Franklin Simpson Park in Franklin, Kentucky, and the super mods are in the house. We can't wait to get the multi-engine tractors out here and running. Ken Stout and Leslie Mears here to call all the action as the sun starts to set here on the track. The moisture will work up through here, Leslie, and we should have a good one.
And just about 30 minutes of light rain right before showtime, and that was able to be worked into the track. So there's a lot of moisture on top of the track, so it should be a pretty even surface top to bottom in the category.
All right, this is Ron Bargy Jr. The tractor is called the Judge Next Generation. As you can see, turbine powered, and he got this season off with a bang as he won the first event. Digs down right at the very end, and the distance is going to be short of that 300-foot mark, 294 and 60. And with a podium finish here in round 1 on this track, he's going to be scratching his head. Do you keep this one? Or, as the first puller, he does have the option to drop it and come back later.
And the thought heavy on his mind is this field of competitors that will hit the track after him. Stan Shelton, Bill Leischner, Ricky Long, Steve Bunnage, all tough competitors out here that could take that lead away from him in an instant.
All right, coming up, our next competitor was new to the class a season ago. Steve Boyd out of Washington, Indiana on the Green Streak. Of course, a multi-time Pro Stock champ, and now his son, Greg, is also inside of this category, and Greg just won one night ago. Well, it took him a long time to go full throttle, but he finally laid into that thing. 290 and 81 is going to be a little bit short of what we saw Ron Bargy Jr. do with 294 and 60, so maybe that 294 and 60 is a good number.
It's interesting here because you know Steve Boyd's got a great tune-up, doing lots of dyno work back at the shop. He's always got his tuners with him, and those Minor Brothers engines just really sing out there on the track. And so it's going to be that point for Steve where he figures out how to use that gearbox that he's got on the tractor to use that to his advantage to make sure that he can get the best power and apply it to the track.
All right, up next, you talked about it before. I mean, this class is loaded with former champions. This is a multi-time champ behind the wheel. Joe Ader also builds the chassis for these things. He knows them inside and out. Sponsored by Geico, as you can see. It's a big-name tractor, and a problem right off the bat, as it looks like a fuel line is blown off, so he is down an engine. Yeah, there's a look at how much fuel those things burn.
When you're talking about 20 gallons of fuel being equally distributed to those 4 engines in about 10 seconds.
He knows he's down on power, has no idea why, stays in the throttle because there's no second chances here in this style of motorsports. You go out here, you have one crack at it, and you better make it count.
And he also has multiple fuel lines on there going to that engine, so he was just down a little bit on power.
We spoke about Greg Boyd, and the Green Streak Unlimited is how this one is tagged, and Greg picking up a win just one night ago. Crash Gladys had a chance to speak with him.
Last night here in Franklin, round one of this event, the Green Streak Unlimited Supermod finally got its first win, and it was you driving, not your pops.
First win for our team, so we were really proud of that. Very happy to finally get in the winner's column and do some good.
I tried to set it up for you to talk smack about your dad. You beat your dad to winner's circle. That's huge.
There was a little ribbon that went on last night, but facts of it is he done all the homework last year and had to put up with a lot of R&D and learning, and I'm reaping the benefits of that. So I can't rib him too hard.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because you guys are considered the top of the top. What was so hard to get that first win last year? Why did it not happen? And then what clicked this weekend that suddenly, hey, we're on top again?
Well, we got a long way to go to be on top. We won an event, and that's great. And hopefully we can get some consistency out of that. But it's a lot different than a pro stock class. There's, obviously the horsepower difference, the bigger tires. It's just learning the setups and learning what we're doing and how to drive and weight and gear and everything else. So it's just taking some time, but hopefully we're going to get there.
All those other things that tractor pullers do, like reading the track, those things really come into play. Looking at barometric pressure and air temperatures and, setting up engines. Those are things that transfer over. But, he's talking about, a tire that's 6 inches wider and trying to apply that power to that bigger tire and into the track.
And we have a brand new leader, ladies and gentlemen, 3:03 and 47. Safe to say they found a little bit of consistency, at least on the same track here, in back-to-back nights. That is a big effort out of Greg Boyd.
And he goes full throttle very quickly. It's a pull with a lot of momentum. It's a ton of ground speed out there on the track. And, we're talking about these guys are going 35 miles an hour down the track. So much speed with a heavy machine.
Here's a look at the top three. Greg Boyd, very humble and certainly appreciates what his father did in the previous year, and now it's paying dividends.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by General Tire, 100 years of adventure. Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. And by 4 Wheel Parts, the global leader in truck, Jeep, and off-road performance products.
Welcome back to the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. We're in the middle of our super modified tractor category, and yes, believe it or not, these guys have everyday lives. We asked them what happens between pulls.
I say time commitment, it's a big deal. Everybody's got regular jobs. Everybody does stuff, and out of a 12-hour day, you're probably working a good 10 hours easy, just trying to get going down the track and stuff.
We laid awake in bed last night at the hotel, just sitting there thinking about strategy for tonight, what we're going to be doing, and and it's just, you're constantly thinking about it, you're constantly, what's the next competing edge we can have, how can we be better than the next competitor?
What you put in is what you're going to get out. If you don't work on them, they'll let you know it, and you'll have a motor tore up and a lot of parts laying everywhere. Usually your finishes are not good. You better put your time and effort in it, because preparation is very important.
It seems like to me that I'm working all the time. I get wore out. My wife, she keeps saying that she wants me to push it harder and harder. I said, my body can't go any further if I keep working on this thing. I said, I don't know if I got enough hours a day to keep it going.
It is a tough task to make a run on the Champions Tour. These guys are very busy with their daily jobs, and then these machines require a lot of maintenance. Michael Stewart out of Paris, Tennessee, as good as anybody up on one of these things, and they proved it 1 year ago. Oh, yeah. He drives that thing deep down through there. 323 and 65.
Just an awesome effort here by Michael. Blake at the first two events in Saluda with 2 top 5 finishes, and not so good here for Michael 1 event ago at Franklin, but really tunes it up here. And, you know, their dad, Jerry, he kind of comes out of the gate at the beginning of the season and, you know, kind of gives it a little baby tune-up just to kind of see how things are going to do, because he just had 4 brand new engines this year. Now gives him the big tune-up, and look at that distance.
Let's go to Terry Boyd.
Big John Mears had his hands full today. Mother Nature's thrown some curveballs at you. You looked at an awful lot of tractors. Are we official?
Yeah, we went with 4 tractors, and we got the best in the business with all 11 of them. I'll tell you what, I think 320 is going to be a nice little pull-off. Maybe 3, maybe 4. Last night our track got better. These E3 modifieds are just shaking the ground. It's going to be a fun show.
All right, here comes Stan Shelton. Of course, a 2-wheel drive modified champ in the truck category. Now both of his sons are competing in that division, and he has stepped up here inside of the super modified tractor category. Oh, and he gets in trouble early. The former class champion has to get out of the throttle to keep it between the white lines.
We didn't want to go out of bounds, because that's exactly what happened to him in Saluda the very first night of pulling there. And of course, you get 10th or 11th place in this situation if you go out of bounds. So he's got to keep it in bounds to stay in the points hunt.
All right, here comes a Tonka-sponsored machine driven by Wayne Sullivan. Did a great job with the Kentuckian. Started the season off on the podium, and then one night ago in round 3, finished second. And when everything was all said and done, Crash Gladys was the benefactor of his podium finish with a kiss.
Yeah, baby!
And there you go. He is off to a great start with 3 top 5s, including 2 podiums, and Crash was with him earlier.
Guys, Wayne Sullivan had quite the oil down last night, despite his second-place finish. So how was the cleanup, and are you really ready to go today?
Yeah, the cleanup wasn't too bad at all. We drained the oil and checked it, and it didn't leak but about a quart out, but it sure looked a lot worse than it did.
Okay, so you're feeling pretty confident?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to make another good one.
Second place or first place? Come on.
I don't know. I might get to lay another kiss on you.
That's all that matters. Let's do this, guys.
And you just got to love him. You know, Leslie, he is such a character. He is loaded with, he has as much personality as that tractor has horsepower right there.
And I always make sure to stop by their pits, because you never know what's going to happen down there.
Yeah, it looked like a blow-off tube or something on that engine had come loose and spit a bunch of oil back on that right fender. Glad everything was okay.
Oh, he's got ducts on that right engine.
Yeah, with that said, it looks like it was the first one that ate itself up, so it was a big one. Obviously, more problems than they thought. We'll watch this thing in replay, because there's lots of big money pieces coming out of the bottom of that one. That's an easy 50 grander right there, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a game for the faint of heart. This is professional level truck and tractor pulling. There's a look at your top 3. Oh, and he stayed in the throttle to try and win it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Franklin, Kentucky, and Franklin Simpson Park for the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Nationals, presented by Mack Trailers. Wayne Sullivan just grenaded one of these power plants out here in this category. As we see the Dirt Slinger, the Speedco Dirt Slinger, come out here with multi-time champ behind the wheel, Bill Leischner, and Bill had a tough 2014. Man, and you talk about wheel speed. He had some wicked wheel speed going there. Looks like he had to get into the brakes to keep it from going out of bounds. 3:15 and 54, but he was definitely on the hunt for the 320s.
Yeah, and this is the type of run that we like to see. A little bit of break there, both sides of the track to keep it in the center, because he's got a lot of power to the ground. These guys really aren't holding anything back now. Did pick up a podium finish in Saluda, but just really hasn't hit his stride with other finishes at 6th and 8th places. So he's really looking to kind of redeem himself and get back that kind of swagger that he's had in previous seasons.
Yeah, I mean, he is a tough player for sure, and I said he had a tough 2014 season. He picked up a win, but, I mean, that's a guy that's used to winning championships, and he was well down in the order, just making it into the top 10. Keeps on Ticking is the name of the tractor, and it's another good one. Oh, and he has to get out of the throttle early to keep that one in bounds, and looks like he might be touching the white line right there.
And we are hearing that he did get the DQ, but he starts on the right side of the track because he doesn't want to have to hit his brakes if he floats over to that left side. Instead, he kind of hits the full throttle point of no return. Once these guys hit a certain ground speed, like 35 miles an hour, when they're full throttle and they're really pounding the ground and hooking up hard, there's really not much that the brakes can do, so they've got to get out of the throttle for it to be effective for them to stop and change direction.
All right, up next will be the MAV TV sponsored machine driven by Ricky Long. His brother Keith having a good showing in the two-wheel drive category out here this weekend. When he sails out over the 300-foot mark and puts 3:25 and 47 up on the board, ladies and gentlemen, we have a pull-off.
And these guys are playing the odds of the track out there. They've been watching it, seeing what it's done to people. Just a little touch of the brake, and you can see he's got the wheels turned completely over there to the right to try to ride that white line as far as he can to exceed his distance.
So the Stewarts and the Longs will certainly square off in a pull-off, but we're not done yet. Who else can join them? We still have Steve Bunnage coming up here as well. Steve, quite a character and so solid. I mean, he kicked the season off with a second-place finish and then a win, so dominating at Saluda, but missed it just a little bit one night ago. And that huge rear tire all wrinkled up. He went about as straight as you could go inside of one of these. They finally threw the red flag at him and said, you're safely in the pull-off at over 330 feet.
And man, this is picture perfect. Just a nice hole shot here by the E3 Spark Plugs machine. And check it out, one of our few competitors to make a completely straight pass down the center of the track. And it was so fast too, just tons of ground speed, just a great looking run.
Well, a beautiful job there, and you can see he's got to get back there, and they have to start preparations to get ready for a pull-off. These things are very, very hot as they sit right now, and they have a lot to do to try and get it taken care of so they can come back and be competitive right away. Bunnage, Long, and Stewart, your top three, have all made it into the pull-off. Who's going to win this thing?
And it's time for these guys to get ready. It's going to come down to refueling, trying to figure out a way to cool down these multi-engine monsters to get them ready for what's going to be the biggest effort of the night.
Bunnage before. This is a good look at Stewart, the reigning champ, and of course Long has his work cut out for him as well. We'll be right back with the pull-off to crown a champ here at Franklin. Once again, welcome back to the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. The Super Modified Tractor class has made its first run. We have 3 tractors out across the 320-foot mark, and those 3 are now going to battle for a win. Let's get it down to Terry Boyd and Crash Gladys for updates from our competitors.
Steve Bunnage, I know you're real busy getting ready for a pull-off. It's been a pretty good year for you so far.
Yeah, last night was a wrong place in the track, too early. It made a real good run tonight. It felt about as good as it did earlier this year, so hope I make one more pass. I'm the last tractor to run, and the motor's pretty hot, so if everything stays together, hope we make another pass like it.
What are you going to do, any changes at all?
Maybe put a little fuel to it, try to cool them down a little bit. Other than that, just going to run it.
Well, the Longs are making 0 changes to their tractor as we go into the pull-off. Basically, they've just been waiting up here for fuel. They've got the fuel, they're pouring it in, and honestly, that's it. They feel so confident with their first run that they're going to do things exactly the same in the pull-off.
We've also got to remember, though, that as these guys are setting up their machines, they did add another 2,000 pounds to that transfer box on the sled. So it will be a little bit harder to tug down the track.
Stewart was the first one in the pulling order, so consequently will be the first one here in the pull-off. A bit of a hop, lost a blower belt, loses an engine because of that. No doubt, down on power here. A crazy erratic run, stays in the throttle all the way to the very end and still goes 3:15 and 42.
And the way they've got these engines set up, they are hooked crank to crank, so if one engine fails, the other one will actually keep working. As you can see here, it's not actually a blower belt, it's just a hose that comes off that engine, so that explains why when those butterflies go wide open, he's still getting a lot of power and application to those rear tires to actually, move the sled down the track. Now, is 3:15 going to be good enough with that hose off? Is somebody going to be able to catch him out there? That's what we're going to have to wait and find out.
Up next will be Ricky Long with the MAV TV Lucas Oil sponsored machine. He went 3:25 and 47 in his first effort, but more importantly, he was second to last in the pulling order, and then Steve Bunnage was last in the pulling order. So a significant advantage in terms of engine heat goes to Michael Stewart. Man, he drives it down through there, though, and brings the heat once again. 3:25 and 29 as he drives right past Stewart's tractor, the down and dirty.
Starting right in the middle of the track and just doing a great job tapping those brakes to keep it in the center. Of course, using the steering wheel, but that only helps when the front end's on the ground. So a lot of good brake control here by Ricky Long in the MAV TV Lucas Oil machine to keep it in the center of the track, keep it in bounds, and extend that distance on. So he's got the lead here in our pull-off.
Well, and for sure can finish no worse than second place, as next up will be Steve Bunnage, the final tractor in the category and in our pull-off. Bunnage came out here and slayed the boys at 3:31 and 11 and shut it off early. You can see him going through the starting procedure here to get all four of these things fired up.
I'm going to be interested to see just how good this tractor runs, because these guys get so hot, and it looks like he is having some kind of mechanical failure on his machine, and he's saying, okay, I've only got 3. It should be all right. Now, what we could see him do here, Ken, is he could just maybe go, about half throttle and maybe just make a 100-foot pass so he can kind of save everything on those engines so he doesn't really tear anything up on them, making a 3-engine pass out here.
He did pull the shoulder straps down for sure and squeezes in the throttle. And you just got to love it. I mean, the heart in these guys is second to none. 278 and 60. He knew he was not going to be competitive with only 3 engines, but he still comes out here, lays in the throttle, and puts on a show for the fans.
Watch his throttle, because I think that he really second-guessed himself here. He was only going to go 100 feet, and then he's like, man, it's hooking up good, so I'm going to go ahead and give it some more and see how it's going to compete out here. I really think his whole intention was just kind of to bump the sled a little bit and kind of save his engines, and then it felt so good to him, he just decided to go full throttle.
Once you put that helmet on, the competition bug strikes in. They flip that competition switch. It is hard to give up and quit early. All right, let's get it down to Crash Gladys. She's with Ricky Long, our winner.
Well, guys, he told us earlier that he was very confident with his first run, and that's why they made no changes for the pull-off. And what did you just tell me?
We're back. It's been we struggled some at the last year, and we just don't feel like we've done justice to the MAV TV Lucas Oil, and we've tuned on her, worked on her a lot, and we had the tune-up tonight here close to home, and that's awesome.
And a pull-off. There's nothing better than a pull-off.
We're excited about pull-offs. I mean, I love to come back and get a second shot at a track, and it showed out there. I mean, those tractors ran better the second time.
Well, okay, so you're serving notice for the rest of the season.
Well, we're not starting. I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to say that, but you know, daggone, there's 10, and any of them can pop up and win every night. This is the toughest class in the country by far.
Yeah, but you're on top tonight, so go celebrate.
Tonight we are, and we got a couple of weeks to stay there, so now we're good.
That's how the cards landed after the original run of competition, and then with the pull-off now. Nice to see Bill Leichner kind of getting some stride there in the number 4 position. But down on the podium, it's Terry with Michael Stewart in second.
Hey, your defending champions from 2014 in the modified, the Protect the Harvest tractor. Michael Stewart, this is only the 5th time you've had that tractor on the track. It's a whole new program for you here in 2015.
That's right. Well, the frame and everything's the same, but we've redone all the motors. We've been working on it since we left Wheatland last year till about 2 weeks before Saluda.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's probably what you needed tonight, getting a second place finish and a pull-off to turn that luck around.
That's what we needed. When you get to the top, you always have to go to the bottom. Well, we're at the top again.
So a strong effort out of the Stewart gang. Steve Bunnage still on top of the points. Wayne Sullivan and Derek Bargee, along with Bill Leichner, locked up there for 3rd place. Let's go down and talk to our points leader.
Guys, we were getting conflicting stories up here at the top end as to whether or not you were just going to bump the sled. What was really going on?
Well, I never did say I was going to bump the sled, but I was going to let off about her foot. But after I got on it, it was going real good for a real good ride with 3 motors. And I thought, well, why not? Let's just see how far we can go with 3.
3 motors, and you still went as far as you did. That's saying something for your tractor.
Oh, it's running real good right now. Last night was a bad position, but that's how it goes in tractor pulling. But it was good with 3 motors tonight. I wish first pass was awesome. That's all I got to say.
All right, that'll do it for the mod category, but we're not done yet. We still have the Pro Stockers coming up. Can't wait to kick things off with them. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League is brought to you by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source. Speedco Truck Lube and Tires, built for speed, staffed for quality, delivering world-class value. And by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn.
It was a busy weekend out here. We also have some great drag racing action going on in conjunction with Beach Bend Raceway here in Bowling Green.
And you can watch the drag races during the day, cap it off with the pulling at night, and you're going to see unique vehicles all over the place. And of course, TS Performance with those great ECUs. I know I've got one in my car, helps me get a little bit more power, which I'm not sure I need at all. And of course, helps me with my fuel efficiency. But while I'm getting that extra power, I'm not going to take it down the strip, Ken.
Come on, have a little bit of fun. Don't be afraid.
I'm scared.
Welcome back to the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. This is our Pro Stock category. We're going to kick things off with Red Edge Pro. Much like we did in the first round, he was the first hook in the class, Cody Shea. $2.99 and 64 will be the distance for the Red Farmall.
And a good distance to log in the books here as the first one out. A tough field of competitors. This is just the second hook for our 10,000-pound Protect the Harvest Pro Stock tractors here on the Champions Tour with the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League. And it is stacked from top to bottom with guys that can just get it done.
All right, up next will be a tractor called Whiskey Wild. Scott Typen back behind the wheel. A gorgeous-looking piece of machinery, and Crash Gladys spoke with him earlier.
So 2014 was the first time that the Wishmeyer Group brought back a 2-tractor team, and I'd say it pretty much worked out for you. It has to, as far as collecting data.
Yeah, it adds a definite advantage to you when you've got 2 shots at everything. It's certainly better, creates a lot of work, but it's something that we've used to our advantage on several tracks.
So I talk with a lot of the guys about this is such a labor of love. So many people look at this and think that this is actually your full-time gig, when no, you've also got other jobs on the side. Whiskey Wild, did I hear this correctly? You supply some of the corn for Jim Beam?
Yeah, that was kind of the basis of the name for that. We have a trucking and grain operation, and we're pretty strong in the bourbon market, whiskey market, trucking different products down to there. We supply corn for Jim Beam, and that's where the name of it comes. So we, the tractor pull is definitely a labor of love. It's something that we do strictly after hours. You know, everybody's got full-time jobs, and this is something we do of an evening, weekends, nights, and all of the extra hours that we can find in a day.
So adding that second truck, no problem. When's your third?
Right, you know, 2's more than enough.
Great story behind that one, of course, and yes, these things do require a lot of man hours. And Whiskey Wild will stretch out past the Red Edge Pro just a little bit at 3:01 and 61 and take over the lead.
It's nice to watch that General Tire box top off, because then you can really see it get that little bit extra kick. And we'll see if that happens here, as Kurt Hazley will be driving King of Deers. Only his second time ever on a Pro Stock tractor.
Yeah, of course, he is just bad to the bone in the Super Stock diesel category. But cutting his teeth here in Pro Stock. One night ago, he came out here in his first hook ever in the class and picked up the win. 299 and 36. Very respectable here, but not enough to take over the lead.
And they've got a tune-up on this King of Deers machine, because that front end is way up in the air. And check this out, doing a little handy driving here, bringing it back to the center, tapping the brake again to bring it in the center. And if he had not had to hit those brakes, he could have been about 310. The track has got it in it tonight, and so it's just going to be the guy who can really fine-tune everything and put a complete package together that's going to take home the victory.
Nathan Babler with a tractor called the Haymaker is coming up next. Just a gorgeous piece of equipment as well, multicolored there, John Deere, and Terry Boyd spoke with him.
Nathan Babler rolled into Franklin, Kentucky for the opening round of the Protect the Harvest Pro Stock class and started off all right, 5th place finish.
Wasn't bad. We were happy with the 5th place finish. Anytime you can finish in the top 5 with this group, well, you need to be happy about that.
What's it going to take to go a couple of places higher, and maybe how about 5 places higher?
Oh boy, I don't know. We're going to find out. We're just going to have to make sure we drill the weight where it needs to be, and hopefully the track will be smooth enough. Last night's track was a little washboardy, and we couldn't hold the front end where we needed to, and it started bouncing a little and took some distance away from us.
These guys hooking a little bit earlier in the night, so not as much wear and tear on the track, so should be a little bit smoother for them.
Last year he picked up a win, and he's going to have a shot at a win here tonight. 319 and 47, and you said it before, you thought that tractor could have gone 310. Well, how about 319 and 47? The track definitely has it inside of it.
And what a hole shot here. Just really starts to pick up those front tires within the first 50 feet and keeps them up, check it out, the whole way down the track. Great job of weight distribution by the Haymaker team.
Yeah, and tire pressures in the back. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a perfect pull, I think that was about as close as you can get right there. Let's go down to Terry.
I'll tell you what, John Mears has really been on his game this weekend here in Franklin, Kentucky. We've got a couple of pull-offs so far this weekend. It's a sled official here in Pro Stock.
Yeah, we're official. The first couple of guys are at 300. There's a couple of heavy hitters in the middle of the pack. I don't think we're going to get a pull-off, but we'll do a float and finish. The month of June is real killer on these Protect the Harvest Pro Stocks. I want to make sure we can make it to the end.
Looking out after his competitors for sure, and pulling these things twice in a night can be tough. Mickey Shorter up here, and Mickey Shorter had a great effort just one night ago, laid up just short of the win, but he was the last hook in the class and finished second.
Oh, little fire out of the pipe there. These guys got it wicked up.
Floating finish line, you got to go for it. And And he'll go 3:11 and 66. Another beautiful job here. Of course, well short of our leader, but 3:11 is nothing to sneeze at for sure. Awesome stuff here in our Pro Stock category. The fans have packed the stands here and watching the best in truck and tractor pulling. There's a look at your top three. We'll be right back. This is the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Nationals presented by Mack Trailer. The mod class is finished up. We're working on our Pro Stock categories. Kevin Masterson now rolls out here and filled in for Dad just one night ago. Crash Gladys spoke to him.
Kevin Masterson up at the starting line, and you've been here for a while. What is it that you're seeing with the track that you maybe like or don't like?
I don't like the big hole in the starting line, but I mean, it's just something you got to deal with.
And everybody's got to deal with it, but are you going to maybe veer more toward the right because of the hole on the left?
I'm scared if you do that, it'll throw you to the middle, and if you go to the other side, it'll throw you to the middle. So I'll probably just go in the hole.
Front end bouncing up and down as it loads those rear tires and unloads them again. 285 and 61, and he will not be happy with that effort.
It looked like he only had 10 weights out there on the nose of the tractor, so just 1,000 pounds on it. Probably could have used just a little bit more weight to keep that front end up in the air more consistently so that those rear tires can really squat down and hook up. Those rear tires 24.5 inches wide, so they're leaving a huge footprint on the track, and they want to make sure that they can dig in cleat for cleat.
All right, slowly building some boost here with the Rolling Stone. Paul Stone doing the driving. Oh, big move there to the left. Wow, and he had to get in the brake pretty hard there to straighten that out, Leslie, and no doubt it took away a lot of momentum. Still goes 3:02 and 56.
You have to give credit to our drivers because they are making split-second decisions out there. I mean, it's only an 8 to 10 second run out there for these guys, and they've got to react quickly to make sure that they can get the most performance out of their tractor while they're trying to preserve their distance.
Next competitor up, Mike Linder and the Linder Brothers machine. Well, I love to hear those turbos chirp as they spool down. 3:07 and 21, a really good effort to try and get up there close to Mickey Shorter, but will be good enough to put him into the top three for now.
Ross Borson with the Green Line Express 2.
All right, Ross Borson taking his time here, watching those gauges as he slowly builds pressure with that turbo. The Green Line Express 2, 3:03 and 47, and they had some decent data to go off of just one day ago.
Yeah, his brother Dennis finished third. He'll be up a little later in the class to see if he can break in to the top three.
Speaking of the top three, there they are as it stands right now, but we are not finished. More Pro Stock action in a moment.
The Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League has been brought to you by General Tire, 100 years of adventure. Ion Camera, the lightest, fastest, fully waterproof HD action camera on the market. And by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
There's a look at the reigning class champion, Brad Moss, hooking up to the sled here at the E3 Spark Plugs Lucas Oil Pro Pulling Nationals, presented by Mack Trailer. A tough competitor, did it with a unique combination a year ago, but he doesn't just work on his tractors, he works on many others.
I don't know. I don't golf, fish, hunt, do any. That is my hobby. It's just a passion of mine. I guess mine's more of, you know, I'm starting to build a lot of the stuff for guys in my class, my competitors, and even if I don't win with mine, I mean, just like Kevin or Don's, I've done a lot of work, Cody Shays, and to see one of them do good, and I've done a lot on the tractor and worked on them, I mean, I guess that's what drives me to go home and work on mine even more, and I don't know. When you put it in words like that, it does make it sound silly that we do that for, you know, drive 12 hours for 12 seconds going down the track and spend the money and the time at home that we do, but, you know, life's short and you pick something and you enjoy, and been ate up with pro stock since I was a kid, and just, you know, I guess that's what drives me.
Well, and it's interesting because Brad Moss is the type of guy that he's drawing on the napkins at restaurants, trying to come up with new ideas on how to engineer things and make things better all the time.
It's the way these guys are wired. It's all they think about. And 300.30 will be the distance for our reigning champ. A guy that dominated the category a year ago decided to make an engine change and start working with and developing that next combination. All right, Darren Hunt coming up next with the D2 Pro Edition. This is a case.
And it's nice to see some color in the class for the change. You know, the John Deere's just engineered more specifically and more durable here in our Pro Stock category.
Well, and he's battling with that thing right down in there and does a great job at 310 and 96. He'll step up onto the podium.
Good looking hole shot here for Hunt and the D2. And check, great lift on the front end. Good weight distribution out through there. Just barely kisses the ground right before the end of the hook. And that's how you got to weight your tractor on this track tonight.
Looked like he might have squeezed on that left brake just a little bit. Otherwise, maybe would have taken over second place as well. As we continue on in the category, the Edge of Sundown is the next tractor up. Alan LeGrand. And LeGrand, who goes to the throttle quickly, goes 3:03 and 12.
And yeah, that's just something on the hole shot there where you're going to lose a little bit of distance when you kind of snap on it that quickly.
And we are to our final tractor in the category. You talked about him doing well just one night ago. We cannot count out Dennis Borson in the Green Line Express. So close to that podium. He goes 310 and 63. He had to get past 310 and 96 to get onto the podium. Misses it by about 3 inches. Let's go down to Crash. She's with our winner.
Well, last night was 5th place for the Babblers, and tonight it's 1st. Clearly, you made some changes, and they worked, huh?
We did. We made some last-minute changes and tried to dial it in from what we experienced last night, and it worked.
Changes such as, was it weight, was it gearing, was it air pressure?
Both weight and gearing.
So a little bit of everything. You just basically threw the book at it.
That's about right. We did what we thought would work. The Haymaker threw a good solid punch tonight, and it got the job done.
Well, and that's what our pullers have to do. They have to read the track and make adjustments accordingly because the conditions are never the same on any given night. Mickey Shorter finds himself on the podium for the 2nd night in a row here in Franklin.
Guys, when it comes to Pro Stock tractors, Mickey Shorter, model of consistency, back-to-back second-place finishers. What that means, you leave here the series points leader.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to get that done with all these that's here tonight. It's unreal.
Coming into the season, did you feel you were ready to go, that you had the tractor dialed in?
Well, we had to do some work through the winter. And Steve and Boyd's family and Columbus Diesel and Riverside's all helped me, so that's the people that got me here.
And here's a look at the points with Mickey Shorter atop by 4 over Ross Borson and Nathan Babler. And we are biased towards good competition, but it's also nice to see some color up on the podium. Darren Hunt made it happen.
There are definitely advantages to hooking later in the class, one of them being you can see where the other guys are lining up on the track, and you used that to your advantage tonight, didn't you?
We did. You know, as the class kind of wears on, sometimes you can see what the dirt's doing, where the holes are, where the good spots are, where the spots to stay away from are. You know, that kind of all plays our advantage sometimes later in the class. But also what happened tonight was the dirt kind of goes away a little bit, and the ruts kind of start wearing in, and they get a little bit more stiff. And when that happens, it makes it harder for us to rock and roll through there. So, but if you got the horses, it'll show up on a good track tonight.
And show up they did. So that'll do it. Here from Franklin, the mod class, and the Pro Stockers putting on a great show, and we hope you enjoyed all the great pulling action. For Crash Gladys, Terry Boyd, and Leslie Mears, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the Lucas Oil Pro Pulling League.